Espn Radio.
When I pop the trunk, head the dirt. Y'all pop the trunk, I pop the hood.
Now act stupid, I'll pop the trunk. Now give me your boom.
He is Jalen first, everybody.
What up, though?
I'm David Jacoby.
And on the cool check-in. Center stage on the mic.
And we putting it on wax. It's the new style.
What do we do?
We get the people what they want.
Reggie's back in the studio. We had Brad for a couple days. He messed up the intro. Reginald Hooks is back. We're excited to have him back. Finally got over that illness that for some reason took 12 days to heal. Jalen Rose, after a disappointing game one, LeBron James showed up in game two and started scoring and hitting shots. He ended up with 42 points, 10 rebounds, 12 assists. But it was not enough as the Celtics pulled away in the second half and earned a convincing 107-94 win to take a 2-0 lead in the series. While LeBron had a 40-point triple-double, Jalen, let's take a look at some of the supporting cast. J.R. Smith, 27 minutes, 0 points, 0 for 7. George Hill, 33 minutes, 3 points, 1 for 4. Jeff Green, 28 minutes, 6 points, 5 turnovers. Jalen, what does this lack of production from everyone not named LeBron James or Kevin Love tell you about the Cleveland Cavaliers?
Their games didn't travel, and it's unfortunate from a team that has a championship core. A couple of those players, George Hill has that experience in San Antonio. J.R. Smith has that experience with this Cavs team. It's just baffling to me to get no production when you're getting open opportunities playing alongside LeBron James, in theory, for consecutive games. And I understand that the role players play a lot better at home, but to be non-existent is unacceptable, especially the way LeBron James came out and was aggressive like he needed to be, in particular in the first half. Scoring, shooting threes, had a level of intensity. But however, the great thing about the Boston Celtics, they embody the word team. And while they get consistent toughness from players like Marcus Smart and Marcus Morris, they also got tiered level production. So in the first quarter, it was about Jaylen Brown. Second quarter, it was about Tatum. Third quarter is about Rozier. And the fourth quarter is about their anchor, Al Horford. So while Kevin Love was really productive on the stat sheet, and Kyle Korver did have his moments when he was knocking down shots, it just wasn't enough, which is why they're looking at an 0-2 deficit.
I'm glad you brought up the fourth quarter because I watched the game very closely. And as the Celtics pulled away, it certainly felt like this Cavs team quit on the game. There's about 3 minutes left. They're down about 8 points. They were just defensively just watching people shoot open shots, not helping, not rotating. It felt like the Cavs team quit at the end of the game. Is that fair to say?
It's a different word, and it may not be as strong as quit, but to me, it fits more. And when you say it amongst your teammates, it registers harder. They were defeated. And it's one of those things where you're like in a ring versus somebody, and it's the second round, and you know that it doesn't matter how hard you throw because it does not affect them in any way, shape, or form. And they don't knock you out in the second round. They carry you into the ninth round. And at that point of the fight, the Cleveland Cavaliers just didn't want anymore, which is why you saw J.R. Smith get a flagrant on Al Horford, which was a dirty play that I'm pretty sure the league is going to come back and call it a flagrant 2 since it wasn't assessed during the game.
I also was surprised that was called just a flagrant 1. J.R. Smith was asked about it after the game. Let's listen.
It was a good call. I blatantly pushed him. It wasn't like I was trying to low bridge him or something to make sure he didn't get it. And it was a good hard foul. I can understand why they gave me a flagrant.
I like that he said it was a good call. I blatantly pushed him. And then you notice he said, it's not like I tried to low bridge him or something. Trying to make it seem like, well, it's not like I punched him in the face. I mean, it's not like I tried to stab him with a knife. I could have done a lot of other things that would have hurt him more. But Jalen, as someone who's played a lot of basketball, you know that there's sort of like an unwritten rule kind of thing about players when they're in the air. Is that why you think they're going to elevate this to a flagrant 2?
Yes, it is. And the reason why there's a distinction between when a player is in the air is because now when you push me, you affected my livelihood. I can go into the backstop. I could fall awkwardly and injure an ankle, an Achilles, a knee, fall awkwardly on my arm, hurt my shoulder, my wrist. And it's just something that you don't do, because regardless of wins and losses, there should be a level of etiquette and respect that the players have for one another. JR has been in these situations, in particular versus Boston in the past. An elbow to Jason Terry. Also a dust-up with Jay Crowder. So you see why the crowd in particular, he had their ire, and the ire of the Boston Celtics, which is why Marcus Smart went to go confront him about it after the fact.
Well, Ty Lue said that the Celtics were, quote, gooning up the game. It seemed like J.R. Smith was more gooning up the game than anybody else. What do you think Ty Lue meant by that?
He meant when Marcus Morris goes and makes a layup and he basically creates a meme in Tristan Thompson's face, and Tristan doesn't say or do anything about it. More importantly, nobody else on the team does either. And again, I'm not calling for players to fight, because when basketball players fight, that shows a level of undiscipline. There's going to be times where the opponent upsets you, the ref upsets you, the fans are getting on you, the media's getting on you. But that's when you got to keep your composure and try to rise and be your best performer. And then there's a later time in the game I glaringly watched when Smart and J.R. Smith had their altercation. Tristan Thompson didn't oppose Marcus. He was holding him. And so that mentality is one that they have to get out of and create the Boston Celtics like they're the enemy. There have to be some disdain, some dislike. And I think that's going to take place in the next game, especially if the Cavs plan on competing.
When that incident happened, when Morris yelled at Thompson, and Thompson had something to say back but didn't really aggressively go after him, when that did happen, I have to say, I'm thinking, if I'm Tristan Thompson, I'm doing everything I can to get Marcus Morris kicked out of the game, because he is much more important to what the Celtics are doing than what Tristan Thompson brings to the Cavs roster. Do you think that that sort of strategy is something that they could have employed at that point?
I think if you're Tristan Thompson, you're not trying to get him out of the game. You should be getting him out of your face. That's what should be happening in that type of situation. And based on his response and the Cavs' response, they just didn't have a level of fight. And you can always look at the hustle plays, box outs, deflections, blocks, steals, charges, diving for loose balls, setting screens, cutting hard. Like, all of the intangibles were things that the Cavs weren't getting.
A couple of the offensive rebounds that the Celtics got were just purely because the Cavs didn't want it as much. I mean, Marcus Smart one time ran from the three-point line and got a putback. Al Horford once got a rebound where there was 4 Cavs around him, not even in position, just waiting for the ball. But there's also an old cliche thing that basketball people like yourself always say. And what is it? A series doesn't start until a road team wins a game. So here we are. The Boston Celtics have held serve. Everyone always says a series doesn't start until a road team wins the game. But this series does feel like it is not going as planned. Do you see the Cavs holding serve and winning 2 in a row?
You have great examples playing right now. The Golden State Warriors winning on the road. Clearly that series has started. But when you flip it to the East, they got 2 games to none. And when you got to win 4 out of 5, that series has clearly started. The one thing I never liked about that cliche is that the home team never has to win on the road. They can win all 4 home games.
Yeah.
So you can't say the series didn't start when the series is over.
Hard to believe that baseball season is here. As fans, we demand a lot from our teams. And a new season means not only hope that our teams will do us proud, but a renewed drive and commitment by players and coaches to start strong and finish strong. Goodyear strives to make tires that do the same, to go further, faster, and longer. They're inspired by those who put in the work and effort needed to succeed. So if you demand superior performances from your team, why not do the same for your tires? When it comes to choosing tires, choose right at Goodyear.com. Goodyear, more driven.
There was a lot of discussion after the Houston Rockets lost to the Warriors in Game 1. James Harden played really well, but in this clip, it seems like he's asking for a little bit more from his teammate.
Like, I can't do it with myself, and we need everybody to be at their top play, And so whether it's CP, whether it's Eric, whether it's Tuck, and we just open up and just talk about the game, talk about things that we see, that they see from their angle. We can get better on things that they saw that actually worked, and figure it out.
I'm going to do the media thing and read too much into this, Jalen Rose. I can't do it all myself. That doesn't seem like a supportive, nurturing, encouraging teammate thing to say after a loss in the first game of a series. Is that a fair read on this?
You're reading way too deep into it. It sounds like the context of the question is you scored 40-plus points, you played amazing, but your team still lost. And then the answer is like, well, I can't do it all by myself. Here's what needs to happen. More ball movement, more cutting. And I know Mike D'Antoni said they scored on 60% of their isolations. But you're factoring the 65 wins you had during the regular season. I bet that stat isn't accurate versus the Golden State Warriors. And that's who you're playing right now. What coaches and teams have to do to advance in the playoffs is use different styles, different lineups, different matchups, different set plays. These are the things teams do as they continue to advance. That's the chess game within the game. And so for the Houston Rockets, of course you want to give James Harden the ball and let him cook. But as you continue to do that, everybody else is standing with their hands on their shorts or hands on their hips. If he's going to dribble the ball over 15, 20 times in a possession. And it allows the Golden State Warriors to stand there and watch him do so, and it makes it a make or miss possession.
I'm glad you brought up the isolation. I'm glad you brought up the fact that you're saying that other people are standing around, because Mike D'Antoni addressed exactly that earlier.
I mean, it's like, oh my gosh, ISO, that's all we do. No, it didn't. And that's what we do best. We scored like 60% of the time on it. It's like, no, really? All of a sudden, they don't pass, everybody stands. Really? You watch this for 82 games? That's what we do. We are who we are, and we're pretty good at it, and we can't get off who we are. We got to play at our strengths. And we know our strengths, and we just got to do it better.
One thing I always say, John, is not what you do, it's how you do it. Synergy Sports has a stat that there was actually almost the same amount of isolation and post-up plays run by the Warriors in Game 1 as there was by the Rockets. The difference is the Warriors actually pass the ball and then get the ball deep to Kevin Durant in a position to score, or to Steph Curry with a mismatch. The thing the Rockets do is, as you mentioned earlier, they give the ball to James Harden. He dribbles around, calls for a pick, calls for another pick, and then finally makes a move late in the shot clock. You played for Mike D'Antoni. You've said earlier right here in this segment that you think they should make adjustments. He kind of hinted that they should not. Do you think D'Antoni will at least adjust the style of play that the Warriors bring to Game 2 to this evening?
That's what he said publicly, but privately, you go back to the drawing board and switch up a few things, because yes, they've primarily been an isolation team amongst the league leaders. Also, the fewest passes in the league, which means you're not moving the defense from side to side, you're not causing confusion, and you're telling the Golden State Warriors that have two all-defensive performers in their starting lineup in Klay Thompson and Draymond Green, an improved defender up front who happens to be 6'11", Kevin Durant, who's really mobile and has perimeter guard skills, and then Steph Curry, who's an underrated defender. Mm-hmm. Oh, and I didn't mention Andre Iguodala, who's also a lockdown defender that can guard multiple positions. When you're not moving them from side to side and the ball sticks, that means the possession has a lower percentage opportunity to end with a bucket. And we talked about that on this program. Again, what does the isolation do? It allows James or CP to cook. And when teams help, drop it off to Capella for a layup or dunk, or kick it out to a shooter like Eric Gordon. Now, the curse is you don't get offensive rebounds.
No.
You don't get second chance points.
No.
And here's the killer. You're shooting so many shots late in the clock, which means they're contested. They're under duress, which is why you saw air balls, which is why you saw shot clock violations. These are the things that must improve in Game 2.
Jalen Rose, last night before Game 2 in the Eastern Conference, the NBA held the annual NBA Draft Lottery. The Phoenix Suns came away with the number 1 pick. They were rewarded for tanking. Now, this is interesting. The consensus is that the number 1 pick will either be DeAndre Ayton or Serbian Luka Doncic. Well, guess who the Phoenix Suns just hired as their head coach? Igor Kokoškov? Kokoškov. I believe that's right. So Igor is the Serbian national team head coach. Guess who played on the Serbian national team? Luka Doncic. With the number 1 pick, do you think that the Phoenix Suns will pass up Doncic and pick Ayton because they need a center? Or do you think they will pair former coach and prospect together, kind of like a Brad Stevens, Gordon Hayward type of thing?
I think in this scenario, you probably go for the big guy based on what your roster already looks like. Devin Booker is shown to be a knockout prospect in the backcourt. Josh Jackson has showed flashes as a rookie up front. Now you want to get that anchor down low that Ayton can provide if he continues to develop. He's a double-figure rebounder. He's a 20-point scorer. Must improve defensively, but can block shots. Is an NBA athlete with an NBA body already. So to me, in today's game, while everybody keeps talking about pace and space in guard-driven leagues, I'm going to let you in on a secret. Some of the best backcourts, Toronto, Washington, Portland, all had exits that didn't meet their expectations, and they're guard-driven teams.
Yep.
Usually when you have that wing prospect, Kevin Durant, Kawhi Leonard, LeBron James, and or that versatile big that can do multiple things, Swiss Army knife style, is what's a game changer in this league. So it's going to be interesting to see which way they go. I feel like they're going to ultimately take Ayton, regardless of the fact that the coach used to coach Doncic in the previous national team.
Well, it's one of those, they can only pick one player, and the other one of those 2 players will likely fall to the 2 spot, which is where the Sacramento Kings lie. The Sacramento Kings are very excited about this prospect.
Belongs to
Jalen Rose, simply, is that the most excited the Sacramento Kings will be this entire calendar year?
See, here's what gets overlooked in this dynamic.
What's that?
That's a night to celebrate all of the poorer teams in the league. And yes, they get to celebrate getting the number 2 pick. But when you look at the Sacramento roster a little bit closer, they have multiple lottery picks on their squad. It's just that they haven't either been productive or developed properly to the point where they can actually win basketball games.
Ryan! I don't know how else to say this, so I'll just say it.
What is it, Linda?
I think we should see other people.
Are you breaking up with me? On a roller coaster?
Well, we do have a lot of fun. Maybe we should stay together.
An emotional roller coaster? Surprising. What's not surprising? How much you could save by switching to Geico.
I just need a little me time.
Geico. 15 minutes could save you 15% or more.
Jalen Rose, one of our favorite players, a gentleman by the name of DeMarcus Cousins, but better known as... He unfollowed his former employer, the New Orleans Pelicans, on Instagram. And when asked about it, he said he did it because he is grown. Jalen Rose, why would he take the time out of his day to search out the Pelicans and then click the unfollow button if he wanted to stay an employee of the Pelicans?
Show me the money. Here's what ends up happening. So you go down, they make an unlikely run in the regular season, and then play so well in the playoffs, it now has the organization not returning your first call.
Oh.
Not returning your agent's first text.
Oh.
You're like, oh, wait a minute. Oh, it's like that? And then it's, you know what, I'm going to hit up AD. So, all right, I'm going to hit my guy up, and I'm going to go a step further. I'm going to let the world know that these fools playing games right now. I'm going to unfollow them. I know that's going to get talked about.
I think the agent called Boogie.
If he wants to get signed, he would.
I think the agent called Boogie and was like, yeah, their initials, it looks like they're looking at like a 1-year deal with a team option for a second year. He's like, hold on a second. Unfollow them on IG real quick. Part of the negotiation. Moving on. New segment alert. Jalen Rose, we want you to go to the table for a review. A woman in Michigan was cooking some brownies for a going away party for a colleague that she was not fond of. She decided to lace these brownies with laxatives. Another employee at the company found out about the plan, called the police. The woman was then arrested. Jalen Rose, we need your ruling. Is this a common foul, a technical foul, or a flagrant 1 or a flagrant 2?
It's a technical foul.
A technical foul. Okay. No one ate the brownies. Like, the police had intervened before anyone ate the brownies. So that's why it's a technical foul?
And also, it's a flagrant foul if nobody knows. Like, so she clearly told other people,
don't
which
eat the brownies.
allowed them to A, not eat them themselves, and B, somebody else to snitch that she was going to do it. What would have been flagrant and foul if she not had told anyone?
Funny.
They had everybody eat them.
It's time for Soft Mover Boss. Antechinus are small, mouse-like creatures in Australia, and they are known for their marathon mating sessions that can last up to 14 hours. During these mating sessions, testosterone gets so high, stress hormone, cortisol, gets very high as well, to the point where the stress hormone gets toxic and leads to the death of the poor little mouse. Jalen Rose, soft move or boss move, sexing yourself to death?
I think it's a boss move.
It is a boss move. It is definitely a boss move.
It's a boss move because, like,
you only get one life.
Here's what makes it a boss move. If you knew that you were on your deathbed, what are some of the things that give you joy that you hope that you can do before that your time expires?
I love the Antechinus so much now. I got sweaty feet. I'm not going to lie. Something about me. I'm a sweaty dude. Sweaty dude. My hands are always sweaty. When I give people handshakes, they always wipe their hand off afterwards. It's kind of embarrassing. And my feet are really sweaty. I'll change socks once a day. If I go home, my socks will feel a little swampy. I'll change them up. Well, guess what? For people like me, Allbirds has a solution. They've got the tree runners. You know about the wool runners. Those are more warmer. They're made of wool. The tree runners are made from eucalyptus tree fibers. I have no idea how they make these shoes. They're not like wooden clogs. They are comfortable, breathable, bendable, cozy shoes made from tree fibers. I have no idea how they do it, but I know that they do it. And I know that this summer, if you are a foot sweater like me, or you just like a cool, casual summer look, you're going to be interested in the Allbirds Tree Runners. They've got a couple different styles. One is more like a boat shoe. The runners are more like a runner. They just feel so good, you know? And part of the summer outfit is kind of like the baggy shorts and like a loose-fitting T-shirt, because you don't want synthetic materials on your body in the summer heat. You don't want tight clothes in the summer heat. And the tree runners go perfectly with that casual, comfortable look. And they are designed simply, no unnecessary logos, no stripes, no swooshes, no nothing crazy, no crazy colorways. Just one simple basic color. And they are dope. I've put them on my feet, and I kept them on my feet. Allbirds is on a mission to prove that comfort, style, and sustainability don't have to be mutually exclusive. Their eucalyptus tree fibers come from FSC certified, which means it's good for the environment. Go to allbirds.com, find your pair of light, breezy, comfy tree runners made from trees, the Tree Runner from Allbirds. It's Woman Crush Wednesday here on Jalen and Jacoby. We want to give a big shout to MC from the 413 in Kelton, getting married later.
Shout out.
And we also want to let everyone know that today is Wednesday. And what do we do on Wednesday, Jalen Rose? We celebrate the more intelligent, more responsible, kinder, more reasonable,
better looking,
better smelling gender of our species, the women. We take female voicemails. So if you call 985-80-JALEN, you can leave us a voicemail. If you leave us a voicemail, we'll play it on the show just like this.
What up, Jalen and Jacoby? This is Sally from Adelaide, Australia. Shout out to Steve for putting me onto your podcast, and love you guys, love your show. Shout out to Reggie. Please keep the air horn. It's very necessary. Quick question for you. My husband TK and I are expecting our first baby in September. And we had a little deal going that if we found out we were having a boy, he would go for my team, which is Golden State. But if we found out we were having a girl, she would go for Brooklyn, which is TK's team. Now, I just wanted to know, considering we have no ties to the States whatsoever, should we wait until she's old enough to pick her own team, or should we keep the deal and let her go for Brooklyn with her dad? Thanks, guys.
Shout out to Sally in Australia. We love our Australian supporters.
Shout out.
We got people in Australia.
No
Marvin
doubt.
from Perth. Someone came to the live show
We
from
do.
Australia. Sally and TK listen to the show. Australia, also the home of the antagonist, my new favorite
We big
animal
in Australia.
that has sex until they die. 14-hour marathon sex sessions and then they die. I think I would probably die too if I had sex for 14 hours. So they're having their first baby due in September. The question is should they allow their child to pick their own NBA team to support, or should they try to indoctrinate? Should they try to brainwash this young human being into supporting the teams that they want them to?
If you're an avid sports fan, it organically indoctrinates your kids into whatever team you root for. It's just going to happen that way because that's the team you're going to be watching and going to games and buying their gear and living and dying with their results unless you're David Jacoby and you're a Daezy fan. So with that, I would say I like your plan so far. The Warriors or Brooklyn. And then when your son or daughter gets of age, they will root for whatever team they choose. Likely it'll be one of the ones that you steer them towards from the beginning.
Yeah, see, I've done this with my kids. I don't push them towards any team. You know what I mean? But I did notice in the mail that everyone's got a custom Detroit Pistons jersey. I don't know how that happened. I don't know how that happened. All of a sudden, my son's got a Pistons jersey with Quincy on the back. You think Uncle Jalen had anything to do with that? So Sally,
well, he gonna root for an NBA team, you know.
I think Quincy's actually interviewing for the head coaching position at the Pistons right now. Thank you, Sally and TK, so much. They can either root for your teams or they can root for your nice uncle's team that sends them gear. Quincy really appreciates the Pistons jersey, as do I. He looks fly in it too. Too bad he can't play ball. Mother's Day was this weekend, and one of our longtime supporters and associate producers, Uncle Mar, left us a special voicemail that we need to address.
What up, though, Jalen Jacoby? This is your boy, Uncle Mar. Shout out to the homie Reggie. Big Yankee fan for life, you already know. I had a very, very personal question for you guys, for both of you guys. I want to say about a week ago, I just found out that my loving mother was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer. And, you know, I live in VA. Unfortunately, my mother lives in Savannah, Georgia with my niece, her granddaughter. So, you know, I've never gone through anything like this before, you know. So my question to you guys is, you know, how should I go about, you know, taking this bad news between my moms? Obviously, like I said, we both live in two different states, so it's kind of hard for me to, you know, touch her, put my arms around her, things like that. So I wanted to know, you know, or you guys have any advice for me in, you know, trying to take this, you know, sickness or illness or whatever you guys want to call it and try to make it a not so heavy experience or so sad experience or whatever on my behalf and my mother's behalf. I hope you guys answer my question. As always, keep getting those checks, man. Keep giving the people what they want.
Appreciate the call, Uncle Mar. Obviously, our thoughts and prayers go out to you and your mother and wish her a healthy recovery. Cancer is something that touches every family. It touched my family recently with my mother-in-law passing, and it's a long procedure. But one thing that's very important to recognize is that a cancer diagnosis is not a terminal diagnosis. You know what I mean? Especially in today's day and age with the science that they have and the treatments that they have, that what you need to do, if the question is how do you handle this, is you just need to be extra supportive. You need to be extra present. You need to reach out more than you normally would. You need to get in the car and drive down from North Carolina to Georgia a couple times just so you can see her face. And you also need to keep the positivity and the hope, because when you're in that position, it's easy to go down the negative path and think about some of the worst case scenarios. But really, that energy is useless. What is helpful is a positive energy, supporting, and send flowers and send presents. And especially with the treatments, those are very difficult times. They make you weak. They make you tired. And little gestures like flowers, doesn't have to cost a lot of money. Gestures like flowers, handwritten letters, cards, FaceTimes, pictures, anything you could do just to be more present in her life, because when you're in the state that she's in, the more love that she feels, love can be just as powerful as a deterrent from a cancer cell from growing as chemotherapy and some of the other treatments. That's my advice for you. Keep it positive. Keep it moving. Your family here at the Jalen and Jacoby Show is always with you. And we just want you to know that I know it's hard, man, but you're going to have to get in that car and drive down to Georgia. Yep. Thank you so much for the call, Uncle Mar. Our love and support goes out to you and anybody else dealing with something similar in their family.
Love and support, Uncle Mar, to you and your family.
We are going to be dark the next couple days because we're preempted. So enjoy the NBA playoffs. We're going to come back Monday strong with a dope pod to step to, with a full weekend of games to evaluate. Who knows? We could be seeing a sweep on Monday we could be discussing, or we could be discussing a 2-2 series. Thank you all for listening. We'll be back on Monday. Why is that?
Done. We're not done. We're not done. Got to give the people time. Give people what they want.
They my little guys. I love them.
Allbirds wool runners are comfy shoes made from sheep. When you put them on, they feel astoundingly comfortable. They're so comfy, it'll feel like you're floating in a river of marshmallows. They also look good, too. Allbirds are designed simply, with no unnecessary logos. You can wear them to work or to play, in the office or out in the town. Allbirds is on a mission to prove that comfort, style, and sustainability don't have to be mutually exclusive. Go to allbirds.com and find your pair of soft